Hello and welcome to the Farmer's Kitchen.
Hey, hello.
This is the Farmer's Kitchen. This is Miss Farmer, I'm Mr. Farmer. This is our kitchen. This is not a set. If we turn these cameras around, I never thought about this. Our dining room's right there.
That's right.
The office is up there. One of these days, we've done a tour of the farm. Maybe we should do a tour of just our local area right here. This is a real home. It's not a set. Farmer's Kitchen.
And we're starving because
What is your name, first and last?
Nikki Farmer. Tim Farmer.
Farmer's Kitchen.
That's right.
How about that? Today, we're going to make something fun. The other day, we were shopping, and they had sourdough bread.
I love sourdough.
And I thought, watch this. I went, watch this, Nikki. I said, excuse me, do you have any starter for sourdough? And the lady who was working there said, I don't know what to tell you.
It's hard to find. It's hard to get. She made it
Next to impossible to find. Well, let me tell you something about sourdough. What causes sourdough to be sour?
What?
Yeast. What is yeast? Where is yeast? Now you think about buying yeast from the store. There's yeast here, there's yeast there, yeast everywhere. Yeast is a single-celled organism. It's a fungi. There are fungi among
That's true.
It's everywhere. So what do you do to capture wild yeast?
What do you do?
What do? You got to feed it. So you got to set a trap.
That's right.
So how do you capture this wild yeast that's everywhere? Now you think back to the first breads that were rising. You have to think about the boiling cauldron that is yeast and fermentation. And think about the breads that you buy in the store as opposed to the sourdough bread, which is basically yeast, flour, and water. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's the ingredients. The yeast as an active ingredient in your stomach helps you dissolve vitamins and minerals from all the things that you eat. You need some yeast in your gut.
So we need lots of bread.
We need lots of bread.
That's right.
Now normally everybody's saying you don't want the carbs from bread, so
Yeah.
on and so forth. So we got to watch it now.
That's
That,
right.
now that we're in our 20s,
That's
we have
right.
to be careful. So what else do you get from bread and yeast? Sourdough bread, vitamin B, protein. So you think, and you look back and you think the early folks who might have set some flour down and some water and they noticed it was doing a little fermentation thing. So if you want to do this at home, and which we did, it's a bit of a laborious process, but it averages what, 5 minutes a day
Yeah, it doesn't take much at all.
for 5 days. You want to go through the process?
Yes. I loved it. I think it's fun.
If you look right here, these two sealed jars, those are our sourdough starters. Now, we fed those every day for 5 days. We have been taking from those jars
We have
and
and
making bread. And we did a lot of experimenting along the way. Now, the artisan breads that you see, the rounded breads with the slit across the top, they take these from the starter and then they put flour and the ingredients in, and they fold and they knead and they fold and they knead and they knead and they fold and they fold and they knead for days.
Right.
I thought, I just want a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Me too.
I want a loaf of sourdough bread to make a sandwich with.
Yeah.
I got a pork loin sitting right here that I made specifically for lunch meat.
Right.
The only thing it's got on it, is a brine that we soaked it in some salt, and I'll give you that recipe in a minute. And a little bit of lemon pepper and pepper on the top.
Yes. Yum.
Beautiful. That'll last in the refrigerator for about a week.
Right.
And we'll eat it in a week. So we're making our sourdough bread with just a few ingredients. Look the next time you buy store-bought bread, how many ingredients? What is all that stuff in your bread?
Right.
You don't need that. So Mrs. Farmer, let's walk them through the whole process of making your own sourdough starter in your own kitchen, harvesting, I should say trapping,
Oh yeah. Trapping.
that wild yeast into this jar, and now we have sourdough starter.
Yes, we do.
So, day one, what do you do, Ms. Farmer?
And we started with we just used a glass bowl and we would cover it each night so we could kind of watch it better. I just have these because I think they look fancy to have it on the counter.
We took some video with our phone because it was such a process. Now, we used just regular store-bought all-purpose flour.
Right.
4 ounces, flour, water. You put this in, mix it up,
Right.
cover your bowl, set it in a temperature anywhere between 70 and 80 degrees, which is pretty easy to do.
Right.
We set it in a room over top of the garage
That's
where
kinda
we knew it was a
warm.
little bit warmer.
Right.
Day 2, we come back,
24 hours.
24 hours, and we notice there's already a few bubbles in
Right.
here. That's what you want to see. That
Right.
means things are working. It's eating.
Yes.
Day 2, 24 hours later, we add 4 ounces of flour, 4 ounces of water. We mix it up, stir it up real good. Then you scrape any down off the sides, down into the bowl.
Right.
Cover it, set it back in your spot where it's 70 to 80 degrees. Day 3.
Did you notice something different day 3?
I did notice something. It's really starting to work. It's starting to get a smell to it. It's
It
starting
is.
to smell like sourdough bread.
A little bubbly.
A little bubbly. Same thing. Feed it.
Right.
4 ounces flour, 4 ounces of water.
Right. Equal
Mix
parts.
it up. Equal parts. Mix it up. Scrape it off the sides.
Right.
Cover it back in your 70, 80 degree
Easy,
environment.
simple.
Easy. Day 4, we noticed something really unique. Started getting a vinegar smell and
Yeah.
that sourdough.
Got excited.
It was
didn't we?
sour.
Yes.
It was a little pungent. So we stirred it up, fed it again,
Right.
put it away, covered it, and it really did. I mean, you hope for that vinegar. Lots of bubbles.
Yes.
Lots
Yeah.
of bubbles
Yes.
at this point. Day 5, we fed it after day 4. Day
Right.
5, guess what? It's ready to use.
Yes, it
if
is.
you're having that action and it's doing its thing, sometimes you may want to go another day, feed it, and do it another day.
Right.
But it worked for us. It was ready to go. So instead of doing all that kneading and folding and kneading, that long process, we took and we made a simple dough and we added a little bit of honey. What'd you add to that?
And what we did is I just took the starter. I took half a cup. I scooped it out of there, put it in, and I added,
Kneaded it up.
right,
here.
kneaded up in there. I added 2 tablespoons of honey to this one, a pinch of salt. Then we added a cup of water. And after all that was mixed, I added 3 cups of flour to it. And then I let it mix until it was almost like bubble gum. It's real sticky. So it got sticky. I pulled it out. I put a little flour on it. And I kneaded it just very little. Just folded it over till I could make it into a little ball and threw it in a bread pan. But I let that sit 24 hours too.
That's 24
Overnight.
hours.
I just let it
That's 24
sit
hours.
out on the counter for 24 hours. And it's not going to raise real big, but it was. We cooked it and it was
That's the
delish.
first experiment.
Right.
In a bread pan, we wanted to make a bread.
Very dense and delicious.
The taste was fantastic. Now again, she let it set for 24
Right.
hours.
And I also, another thing I did cover it with a wet cloth also.
Gotcha.
And let it kind of sit in the warmth. And we actually have that cooking right now. It's going to cook about 30 minutes. It's not going to be as big as the other one, but boy, does it taste good.
It's almost unbelievable. You taste the honey in there.
Oh, it's good.
But then we wanted more of a sandwich bread. So
Right.
we started experimenting a little bit more. So we decided to add a little yeast to make it rise a little more and make it
Right.
a little more flour. Do you know what causes that?
No, what causes that?
It to raise carbon dioxide.
Okay.
As it's eating, it lets off those bubbles and gases, and that's why it raises. How about that?
That's
Is
interesting.
that not interesting?
That's interesting.
So anyway, here's our second experiment that we really liked as
like
well.
this.
Tell them what we did, Ms. Foreman.
All right, well, what I have now, this time we're actually going to use a little bit of yeast also.
Mm-hmm.
We still need our starter, but we are going to start off. This is 3/4 of a teaspoon of yeast. So if
Is
you
that
want,
active dry yeast
yes, if you want to just throw that in.
in here?
Yes.
In the machine?
And I have warm water here. I have 5 ounces of warm
Put
water.
that in?
Put that in with it, and then just start that up on low, and we're going to let that mix up a little bit.
All right, I'm going to mix this up, right?
Yes.
Put it on low?
Just on low. Let's let that go for a little bit. While that's going, now I have 2 of these because I'm just having so much fun. I need 1 cup of the starter.
You can use a whole cup.
Yes, a whole cup. Now each time after the 5 days too, we forgot to explain something you do. Every day if you want to keep feeding it, you got to take a cup out of it. So we want to take out a cup, not to use, and then just keep feeding it daily. So if you don't make bread, I guess you got to throw it out or you got to make bread every day.
After the 5 days, you've got to take half of it out. Now that would be the perfect opportunity to take half of it out and give it to your friend
That's exactly.
and let them start feeding and explain the
Right.
process.
Or make bread every day.
Or make bread every day.
That's right. All right, so that's mixing.
Give us this daily bread.
That's right. So now, this is a little bit gooey. So we need, this is a half a cup measure here. I need 2 cups of
Okay.
this. So let me get, I don't want to get you gross here because this is kind of,
I'm going to stand back.
all right. And this is our starter. You smell that? And I'm going to have to feed this later. We're going to have to refeed this and get this going again. And there's another half a cup.
Now, if you smell that, it smells almost like a sweet beer.
Yes,
It's
it
got
does.
a fermentation.
Yes.
So I've been looking for an excuse to eat bread, Mrs. Farmer.
That's right, I like it. All right, one thing we are going to add is half a tablespoon of salt, and this is kosher salt. So if you want to just throw that in, and we're done with that.
All right.
Now the only thing left to do, this is so easy. I have 2 cups of flour here.
That
So
goes in
as this
there?
is going, if you want to just dump it real
Little bit at a
slowly,
time?
yep, a little bit at a time, and this is going to almost get like sticky bubble gum when we know it's ready to go.
It really is sticky, isn't
It
it?
is. You're good.
Yeah, I'll let you do it at your pace.
You just add it in, and we're going to let that, after we get it all in and it's kind of mixed, we're going to let it knead for about 5 minutes.
Okay. Oh, that smell.
Good. And you might want to, if you want to go ahead and hit this a little, knock down the sides, that'd be great. And it's doing pretty good on its own, but yeah.
Making me work, Mrs. Farmer.
I know, I'm making you do stuff. We're going to time this for a few minutes, and let's just let this.
So 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's actually going to get to where it's going to be banging and hitting hard when it gets to where it's going to go. You see it getting thicker? Mm-hmm. All right. And I think it's in pretty good shape. Now it's going to watch it get thick here. You're good. You don't have to knock anymore if you don't want. Let's just let it get so thick that it has trouble going.
Now, if you don't have a machine, you could do this by hand.
Right. But this makes it so simple. And this is my 40-year-old mixer. It's so old and it still works. I love it.
40 years old.
Yes. See how it's all coming
That's
together
older
there?
than me.
That's right. It's older than you and me. I got it
Put together.
before I was born.
And while we're talking here, I noticed that bread's starting to get brown on the top. Oh,
Yeah, and see,
looky.
it doesn't raise as large as this next. This is with no yeast, and look at that.
But let me tell you what.
That's wonderful.
Now look at that beautiful little hot loaf of bread. We're going to let this cool. Now, one thing about sourdough bread is you got to let it completely cool before you cut it. Now, that's really hard sometimes because it smells so good.
Right.
This may not make it to the complete cool down
That's
stage.
right.
Now,
How's that smell?
it smells like heaven.
We should probably put it out on like a little
Let's
tray.
put it on a little cooling
Let's do that.
tray.
And I think that's done if you want to turn
Is that
that
done?
off. Yep, turn it off.
So we got a busy kitchen going on
Yes, we
here.
do.
And the smell, I just so wish people could smell what's going on in here.
Yeah.
That smells like heaven. That smells like heaven. And I can't wait to eat some bread. Now this little loaf of bread, our first experiment,
And that's with no yeast added.
that's
our own.
with no yeast other than the wild yeast. And we didn't spend 45 days kneading it and turning it. That is beautiful when it's cut into small pieces and buttered and you have along with a salad or you have along with a soup. We'll cut some of that and show you what that looks like while it's still a little bit warm.
And we did nothing with it. That is sat in a pan for 24 hours, and I cooked it. That's it.
The taste is unreal.
Yes.
The taste is just unreal. Okay, now this is done. Where do
All
we go
right,
from here?
Unlock this. If you can lift that up for me. Let me get everything off of here. This is where I'm going to get dirty. See how it's kind of like bubble gum?
It is. It's sticky.
All right. Let me get this. You can see it. See how it is right
Let me
here?
see that. Go ahead and show them how.
It's kind of sticky, and I want to be able to work with it a little here. So I'm going to put a little flour in there, just so I can get it moving around a little bit. But see how it's kind of coming together with the flour? All right. I'm able to at least touch it now. You want to sprinkle a little more flour in there for me?
On the deck
Yeah,
here?
just right on this, on the top of
On
it.
the
'Cause
top?
just to get it. We don't need that much, just a little bit. All right. You know, when people make sourdough, a lot of times they do them these round. You have to do this every day. All right, see that? Mm-hmm. Put a little oil in this pan,
Okay. This is a little spray olive oil.
Yeah.
It just evenly coats it.
and that's it. And
in
now
the bowl?
it's going to double in size. We're going to let it sit for 2 hours.
2 hours.
Just in the house with a towel on it.
Gotcha.
So you want to put it behind us.
And
That's
I'll set
perfect.
this right over here. And here's what we look like after 2 hours.
That's 2 hours. See what that's done?
Beautiful.
Is that wonderful?
Now, like I said, we put a little more yeast in there, active dry
Mm-hmm.
yeast, just to activate a little bit more so we could have that fluff for more sandwich
Right.
bread.
And now we're going to do a little bit more kneading of this. See how this knock it down? So this is only, you have to knead it
You
twice.
deflated the soccer ball.
I deflated it. Give me a little flour again. See how it's back to the bubble gum?
Say when?
This is the one we're preparing for the actual bread pan, and this is going to just take another 2 hours. We're not going to knead it a whole lot, just to get it. See how great it is to work with?
Oh,
That's it.
beautiful.
I didn't do that much. Boom, in there, and we're going to cover
Cover it
that
with a towel.
one. Yes.
So we need some towels. Let's
Yes, we do.
Cover these right here.
Now that's after 2 hours sitting in the loaf pan.
2 more hours.
Right. And now we're ready to cook. This has been sitting for 2 hours. I have the oven at 425.
Okay.
We're going to let it go 10 minutes. You're going to see it rise in these 10 minutes a little, and then after 10 minutes, we're going to turn it down to 400 for another 20 minutes, and you won't believe what we get.
Boom, baby, boom.
Beautiful.
All right.
That's ready.
So we did our due diligence. We took half of that out. We used it.
Right.
So we have to feed it. So same thing. Open it up. We're going to put
That's half a cup of flour, which is 4 ounces,
4 ounces.
and half a cup of water.
Now I'm going to mix it vigorously. We found these little sealed jars, and they're nice because you don't have to put plastic on them.
And they look cute on the counter.
They do
This
look
is going to
cute
sit
on
on
the
the counter.
This smells like heaven, I'm telling you.
And being we use some of it, we're good. You want to take at least
We took half
out.
of it out,
Yeah.
at least half.
Yeah, and then you refeed every day.
So let's say you're going to take a week's vacation. What would you do, Mrs. Farmer?
You could stick this in the fridge for a week. As long as it's fed once a week, pull it out, and let it
Room temperature?
come back to room temperature, and you can continue on.
So we're going to seal this
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Put it back in its 70-degree environment, 70 to 80 degree
And we're good.
environment, and let it work until we use it the next time. Ms. Farmer, look at that bread staring at me.
I know. You need a piece?
I just might. You didn't see the way it's looking at me?
It is looking at you.
Eat me. Okay, I'm so sorry, Mr. Loaf of Bread. I did not let you completely cool down, but Mr. Farmer, I'm starving.
That way butter will melt on it. It'll be so good.
That's true. Some people call that the heel.
Look how thick that is. You don't need anything. That's just like dessert.
Now look at that. It's got the little holes.
That needs some
It's just a
butter
little bit
pieces.
of heaven right there. Let's lay that and let's let the butter absorb into that. And to me, this is just a nice side bread. If you want to have this for dinner and really have a whole lot of flavor, you go first.
I'm starving.
I know
I
you
can't
are.
hardly wait.
Okay. That's ridiculous.
We need this every day for breakfast. This is a good breakfast bread, isn't it?
You imagine French toast with that?
Oh my goodness, good idea.
So the other day, we were traveling, and we stopped at a little restaurant, and we ate out front, right on the road.
Yes.
And just a little unique shop. They had Thai food and some other things there. And they asked us if we wanted slaw with our meal. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. So it was the traditional Thai slaw.
Right.
It had the peanut butter taste, had peanuts
so
on
good.
it. And I could taste a little bite of some vinegar, probably rice wine vinegar, so on and so forth. So I thought, okay, that would go good with a pork loin sandwich with sourdough bread,
Yes.
wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
So I'll tell you what let's do. Let's let this cool down a little bit more. Let's let that cook. And then I'm going to make a little bit of that slaw. And it's really good.
It
It's
is
kind
good.
of subtle. It's kind of nice. And we came up with this little slaw, and I think it's going to be good, and I think you're going to like it.
yeah.
We'll be back in a minute. Now you might ask the question, that's a beautiful pork loin.
Yes, it is. What did you,
You
do,
might
Mr.
say,
Farmer?
what did you do, Mr. Farmer? Well, I brined it for several hours, about 6 hours. This is for about a half a gallon of water. I put a half a cup of kosher salt, half a cup of brown sugar, third to a half of soy. Now you want that salt to really sink in there. Then put about a half a tablespoon of dry garlic in there. Also want some black pepper. I like a whole lot of black pepper in there. Use a tablespoon or two. And also put a little bit of liquid smoke. I like the hickory on there. You can use a cap full of that, of the smoke itself. That's your basic sweet and salty brine. You can use it for just about anything. I've used it to smoke fish with. I use it for my pork. I use it for my chicken. And it's an old recipe. A buddy of mine way back, Billy Bob, shared that with me. And
Well, so good.
I've been doing that for probably 25 years. So what's the perfect complement to pork?
Lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper and black pepper on the top. Now you think about this, I want to use this as a sandwich meat. I know where it came from.
Right.
I know exactly what's in it and not in it. So you want to bring that zing out on the top. You got the lemon pepper and the pepper. So when you cut this and you have that and you layer that on your sandwich,
Oh, wow.
you make sure you get a little bit of that lemon pepper and it really gives it a nice zing and a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
flavor. So after you put your lemon pepper, and I mean quite a bit on the top, put it in smoker, 235 for about 4 hours. Now you want to achieve at least 150 degrees internal temperature. This probably got up a little bit above that because I walked away. It's probably 170, which is fine. But pork, they brought it down just a little bit. You can be safe with 150. But being this is going to be in the refrigerator, it went up to about 170, which is fine. It's perfect. So anyway, here this sets. It's all beautiful, cooling down. We've got our bread going right here. And during these times when we have time to chat, we talk about the farm.
That's right.
The other day, you looked at me and said, it's time to start weaning the lambs,
Right.
to get the shots, to get the worming,
Right,
get
everything.
everybody taken care of. So we called Dr. Doy. She came over, she took care of the problems. She looked at everybody, they got a clean bill of health.
Right.
So that's an annual thing that you have to do when you got new lambs. They have
Right.
to have their little shots, they have to have their little treatments.
Right.
And the girls have to make sure their little feet are in good shape.
Right.
So the only thing we have left to do, Mrs. Farmer, is get that bread out, and then we need to make our slaw. You ready for
Yeah,
that?
I'm so excited
All right,
about
let's
the
make our
slaw.
slaw. got a regular head of cabbage here. I'm gonna make a small batch just for us. I've got the little serrated edge because it makes it look pretty when it comes out.
Be good with a sandwich.
Oh, this will be excellent. I'm not making a huge batch. It's just enough for us. You want a cabbage soup tomorrow, right?
Yes, perfect.
I probably got a cup and a half of cabbage here.
At least. Maybe 2. That's a lot of cabbage.
Maybe 2?
Yeah, I think
that's
a lot.
enough for us, right?
Yeah,
for a couple
perfect.
days. Now take some carrots, some sliced carrots, and put in here. Just enough to go with this. Look at those beautiful colors, Mrs. Farmer.
I like it.
Now see, that in itself looks good right there.
That is pretty. I like it.
In this small batch, I'm going to use a little bit of honey, probably less than a tablespoon, teaspoon of fish sauce. I'm going to use a teaspoon or 2 of rice wine vinegar, depending on how much you like, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. I'm going to use some fresh ground ginger. And lemon juice, I would say we've probably got a heaping tablespoon. I'm going to use a heaping tablespoon of peanut butter and some soy sauce. And I'd say it's about a tablespoon of that. So we're going to mix all these things up together here. Now, look at this.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Look where this is at.
I could eat it with this spoon.
So if you'll toss that while I'm pouring that in.
I'll do it.
Well, just enough.
This makes me so happy.
I think this is going to be just enough for this amount.
Perfect.
We've been playing Frankenstein with the bread. We tried it in the refrigerator to see if it would rise. We've tried so many things, and you know what? It's fun.
Yes, it is.
Now, a lot of people say, well, you got to do this, and you don't got to do this, and you got to do this, and you don't got to do this. Don't add this, don't add that. But you know what? At the last minute, in our latest recipe, just put a little more yeast in it
Yeah.
to give it that last and
more.
final raise. And look what you've got.
Wow.
To me, that's just about the perfect loaf of bread, Mrs. Farmer. Can we cut it for you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll hold it for you.
All right.
Ooh. Beautiful.
Now, why would you want to go to the store and buy bread with 152 ingredients you don't know what any of them are? And we know exactly what's in here.
I make bread every day.
I'm telling you what, we can have our starter. Now, those are thick pieces of bread, but hey, it's going to be a thick sandwich. We got our pork, our smoked pork, the perfect, to me, perfect
yeah.
lunch meat. I mean, look at this. Look at that.
That's nice.
And again, the top with pepper and lemon pepper, so you have that nice flavor there. So what we're going to do, Mrs. Farmer,
Okay.
is we're going to spread some of our
Mustard?
mustard on here. We like a stone ground mustard here. Ooh.
Wow.
And some beautiful, wonderful, look at that, perfect
That's
size.
perfect.
Should we put another little
We
tiny
should.
one on there inside?
Make it nice and big.
Just make it nice and thick. Some smoked Swiss cheese.
Yum.
Oh, you know what? I think you ought to cut that in half.
Cut that in half
Miss Farmer.
for you?
Make it
Go
perfect.
give me that knife. I will do it.
So anyhow, Miss Farmer, I want you to try our slaw.
Okay. That looks so good.
Isn't it wonderful?
You did good. Just like what I had before.
Now I want you to look. Oh, that's our own lunch meat. Look at that. That's our own bread. You want to bite first?
I do. I think I need everything first because I'm hungry.
What do you think? Isn't that good?
That bread is delicious. I can't even describe how good that is.
So, people want to get on our Facebook page, but they're finding it so challenging.
Yes.
What do you have to do?
You hit like.
Oh, you hit
Yes.
like. We want to see you on there. We have a whole bunch of friends over there. We have fun over there. Where in the world would you go, Ms. Farmer, if you wanted to find recipes?
I go to timfarmerscountrykitchen.com.
That's where I'd go to, timfarmerscountrykitchen.com for millions of recipes, how-tos, so on and so forth. Now, you know what it's time for? To say goodbye to our friends.
So I can finally eat.
Eat this sandwich.
That's right.
But it's all about
Good times.
good friends.
And really good eats.
We'll see you next week on Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
Yum.
To order a cookbook, email timfarmerck@gmail.com.